Welcome to the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. Good day, everyone. You know, when you hear this voice, you know what time it is. It is time for the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life, one smile at a time. Listen, you all, we have a great title for you today, and that title is Don't Come Out of Character. I know, because I said that title, it is not in the direction in which you think I'm going. I decided to, go to another direction. And I want to have fun in this podcast pertaining to don't come out of character. I like to be practical. I like to bring practicality to my podcast, that it relates to people so they be able to relate to what I am saying. But as I always do, I like to look up words and the definition and to apply to our podcast. And I know that many of you understand definitions and words, but I like to do it for the podcast, just the sake of the podcast. And also it gives a direction at where we're going in this discussion. But listen, I want to look up the word character. And according to the definition, it says one of the attributes or features that make up and distinguish an individual. And when I thought about that, that is such an amazing definition, because it says it makes up a distinguished individual. And when I said distinguished individual, it made me realize that each person has a distinguished characteristic. There's not one that is duplicate. There's no twin to our character. And as I was thinking about what and how I was going to present this podcast to you all, immediately I was thinking about a baby when it's born. Baby comes out of the mother's womb after being in the womb of 9 months with the baby, and the mother is nurturing that baby during those 9 months, nurturing, feeding the baby, singing and talking to the baby. The baby is actually hearing the surroundings of the mother, whether it's the father or her place of work, the surroundings. This baby comes out 9 months into strangers' hands. The doctor and the nurse, the baby is screaming. And it's in a place is unfamiliar. It's in voices that is unfamiliar. The surroundings is unfamiliar. The baby is screaming and coming out of character. And the nurse takes that baby and places that baby back into the mother's arms, lay that baby on the mother's chest and the heartbeat, and the baby calms down. And that is because the baby is back into its surroundings, where it is been living in that surroundings of comfort for 9 months. And in the womb of that mother, that baby, distinguished characteristics have been developed in that surroundings. So when the baby comes out, now it's in a totally different surroundings, and it's screaming and hollering, no. And I thought about the way the baby is born into this world, and it made me realize the adults, we're no different than this baby. We go through life the same way when we are taken out of our comfort zone. And we react because it's unfamiliar. I truly believe the year 2020 pushed us all to the edge, and it caused us to react and caused us to come to the point of, I'm not coming out of character. Daily, we had to say, I'm not coming out of character in the year 2020. And then there are some who did come out of character. We may not know who they are because they was in the privacy of their home, because in quarantine, everyone, I'm sure, had a day and a moment where we did come out of character, and we had to regroup and we had to think. The year 2019, I was on my way, and January 2020, everyone is shouting, this is the year of vision. We're progressing. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about the legacy of our family. We're thinking about leaving generational blessings to our children. If you have children, we're thinking about progressing. We're thinking about producing and marketing, and we're thinking about making money. We're thinking about a lot of things that will prosper our life as an individual. But the year 2020 caused a lot of us to get to that place of saying every day, because you had to take these steps every day and say, I'm not coming out of character. I'm not coming out of character. I don't know if you experienced what I experienced, but there were days that I came out of character because I began to have these moments of overeating. That was coming out of character. And because you're pacing, because your norm had changed. And I had to think about, okay, what can I do to replace what is causing me to come out of character? And I had to go back, and every morning I had to pretend. And, this is something that I know many of you probably experienced. I've spoken to a lot of people who had to do the same thing. Put your everyday existence back into your world, although you were quarantined. And I don't know about you, but I had to say many mornings, don't come out of character. You came out of character yesterday and it did not profit you. It only made you stressed out. So that was not profitable. This is what 2020 has done. And I know many, I was watching, because I was watching people, celebrities, that's on the news. And I was watching how they were, functioning. Are they coming out of character? So when I was seeing the surroundings of everybody, this 2020 pushed us to the edge to come out of character. I was seeing things that I would not have seen, people who are out in the forefront in television. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And so as I was thinking about this podcast, I was thinking about everything about the title. Again, our title is Don't Come Out of Character. And it is so vital that when we are pushed to the edge and placed in situations where it's not normal for us, we can come out of character. Although our insides is coming out of character. But it is when it is spoken, you are coming out of character. You have came out of character. And there are times you have to suppress it and you have to think back. If I say what I really want to say at this moment, is it going to jeopardize everything that I have worked so hard for at this place? We're not talking about your relationships. We're not talking about where you work. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about you as an individual, everything that you have changed about your life, that you have passed the test, that you have wanted to change, wanted to do better in areas. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything to do with anybody else. This is an individual conversation about don't come out of character. Because again, it states that character means one of the attributes or features that make up and distinguish an individual. Because that right there, when we talk about those characteristics of an individual, this is what I mean. Don't come out of character. Don't come out of character based on the distinguished of your characteristics of who you are, the way you think about things when things are presented to you that has crossed your boundaries. And you've worked so hard to get to this place, and then here you're faced with this testing, and you're faced with this obstacle or this distraction. And you have to remember, don't come out of character. You worked so hard to get here. This was something that you worked on in 2020. Let's go forward, because I'm going to tell you, those things that you worked so hard for in 2020 or whenever that you had a difficult moment, those testings and those distractions and those temptations will come back. But at a moment of time, you got to think, oh, I passed this test. It was a hard test to pass, but I passed, and I'm not revisiting this. And you have to just say, no, I passed this test. I'm not coming out of character, and keep going. That is what I mean about this podcast, because I could take don't come out of character is when you are dealt with somebody and they're just being rude and disrespectful to you, or they have broken into your house or things like that, and you come out of character. No, I'm not talking about that coming out of character. I'm talking about the distinguished of your individuality and characteristics of don't come out of character. Because we have all worked on so many things in our lives between the ages of 1 to 10. 11 to 20 to 21 to 30 to 31 to 40 to 41 to 50, and life is progressive and we learn in each decade of our life. And so when I say don't come out of character, you don't want to revisit something that you should have dealt with at the age of 16. And if you have to do that, go ahead and do it. Read books, change it, confess it, but write it down what it is that you need to do and how to change it. But when you are an adult, there are stages in your life is progressive. I remember hearing someone says that life is like glory upon glory. It's like taking steps, one step to lead to the next step. Now, can you imagine that you made it to the top of the mountain and someone is on top of the mountain that does not belong on your mountain, and they see you coming and you finally made it? You know how hard it is to climb a mountain? I don't know if you ever climbed one, but I go to Helen Mountain sometimes and I climb those mountains, and that mountain is hard to climb. But once you get to the top, you're like, ooh, that was difficult, but I made it up here. But can you imagine you climbing your mountain and someone else is on your mountaintop and they see you and you made it, and then they kick you off the mountain and you land back on the very bottom step? That's what I mean. Don't come out of character, because you worked so hard. Individually, you worked hard. Distinguishedly, you worked hard. Characteristically, you worked hard. And it's progressive. And so going forward in the year 2021 is one of those moments that, as we approaching the second quarter in April, that the first quarter is still continuing because this is March. The second quarter is beginning in April. That, being reminded, don't come out of character. Don't come out of character. This is something that I really don't even have to talk about in the podcast, but it's always great to just revisit that. Don't come out of character. You're doing good. You're a marvelous person. You're remarkable. You're an exceptional person. But don't let obstacles and things like that get you out of character because you've passed that test. We all passed that test in 2020. We all had experience being pushed to the edge. No one was exempt for being pushed to the edge. So in this year 2021, I truly believe that being reminded of you as a individual with distinguished personalities and characteristics that don't come out of character. Listen, you guys, this is the end of our podcast. I just wanted to have a little fun with you today. And just remember that coming out of character can have it won't have you're not going to make it. It will have a delay effect. One day of dealing with something that should have already surpassed you is not going to be terrible, but it's still a delay. So just remember, as you go forth in the year 2021, things are progressive and they are movable as long as you remember of don't come out of character. And if you don't know what your character is, and if you don't know what your distinguished personalities are, and if you don't know what the attributes you are, sit down with a sheet of paper and write them down. Because it's very important to do that you are very secure about what you bring to yourself daily, every morning. But listen, you guys, I want to say thank you. This is the end of our podcast. Thank you for listening, and thank you for returning to listen. Thank you for supporting. And remember, this is your girl, the Sonya Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life, one smile at a time. Listen, you guys, in 2021, don't come out of character, because you mean so much to yourself and you mean so much to the people that you impact daily. Listen, you guys, have a good day, and bye. Thank you for listening to our broadcast, The Sonya Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life, one smile at a time. Until next time, bye, you guys.